good morning, Monday morning, January the 20th, 2025. Championship day, man. Championship day. How you two doing?
Good.
Doing good.
It's cold up here, Chuck. It's cold up here.
2 degrees down here, so that cold front probably just swooping around through Hickory and back up north because it's hot and balmy down here.
It's freezing up on the mountain this morning. I didn't slide down. I had to get some new tires, so everything went well. But that's still a treacherous trip coming down the mountain. But again, down here, everything's perfect, and you can never, our folks locally here do such a great job on the roads. So I want to tell them thank you. But anyway, Notre Dame and Ohio State tonight at 7:30 on ESPN. 3.5 hours of, well, Kurt Herbstreit, I guess. Oh, 3.5 hours of Herbstreit. And over-analyzing every single play. Before we get started talking about the game, I was just out of my mind because watching the NFL now is just not my thing. And I watched a little bit of Super Bowl VI yesterday when I was a kid and the Dolphins got beat by the Cowboys, and listening to Ray Scott and those guys call the game, man, it just made you feel so good. Not everything was overanalyzed. But anyway, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Ohio State is the visitor because Notre Dame is the highest seed. Nothing to that besides jersey pick, right?
Yeah.
Depending who gets to call a coin toss, unless they do it like they did. What game was it? It might have been the Sugar. No, it wasn't the Sugar Bowl.
It was the semifinal game. They did that. It was a semifinal.
And where they did, it was just whatever logo is flipped on the coin wins the toss. I actually like that personally. Then you don't have the was it Jerome Bettis back in the day said tails and the ref thought he said heads and you get confusion and blah 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 and all, just flip the coin, whatever logo lands is the one that wins the toss. I'm all for that, by the way. There's enough money in college football they can do that each week.
That I think happened in Detroit for the Super Bowl, right?
Probably.
I don't remember. Yeah. No, it was for an over. No, it may have been Jerome Bettis. It may not have been. I think it was though. It was for overtime. Who got the ball? And this is back before the overtime rules changed.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
But I don't remember who it was against. But I'm just saying, there's enough money in college football. I'm all for just flipping the coin and whatever team's logo wins a toss. Screw it.
All right. Let's talk about the football game again tonight. Kickoff 7:30, ESPN. The line has moved a point towards Notre Dame. Ohio State is now 8.5-point favorite, which is still quite a big spread for a national championship football game. And again, you two know way more on this than I. Is there been in recent history that big a spread that you can remember, or those Alabama teams back when they played like TCU or whoever played, were the spreads that big?
That's a good question.
I don't remember my memory bank something like that being that far ahead.
Yeah, you and I are that 5 minutes ago. Hold on a minute. I have to think about that.
Yeah.
All right. Ohio State leads the series 6-2. They've won the last 6. Notre Dame beat them in 1935 and in 1936. That's the only 2 times they've beaten Ohio State. Ohio State's won 6 in a row since then. But if you go back, and Chuck and I were talking in the production meeting, does it really matter anymore? Because history doesn't matter to me anymore, because these guys playing in this championship game tonight, 50% of them are going to be on another roster next year anyway.
Well, listen, Dad, I love you, obviously. You got to stop being a pessimist about transfer portal. The coaches have left for 100 years and no repercussions. Screw it. Hey, it is what it is. That's the new rule. It's just
Throw
part
your
of
coffee at him.
No, I'm just saying it's just part of the new. It's the new rules. If
I
the
get
coaches can leave, so can the players.
Yep.
It's that simple.
Okay.
Now, if they would ever go back and say, coaches, we'll use Bill Belichick for instance, because Bill Belichick's buyout's $10 million right now. Even though, side note, he's yet to sign his contract. Just mark my words, he won't be there. But whatever. If he were to leave, you make him pay the buyout. He probably doesn't leave. Does that make sense? Because the team that he goes to pays that buyout. That's how the coaching world works. So if you make the coach actually pay the buyout, they won't leave. Then I would say players should not be able to leave. Then I'm like, all day. So
All right.
I understand what you're saying. Yes, most of these kids will be on a different roster. But you know what? Half their coaches are leaving for pay raises anyway. So
Well, let's just talk. Let's talk about the football game.
Trying to answer your question, though, I've got the spreadsheet on the point differentials, the pregame spreads. This year has been honestly kind of crazy. I'm looking at it. Penn State, Boise State, 11.5-point favorite. Texas, Arizona State, 13.5 point. Texas, Clemson, 13.5 points. That's just from this year. You go to last year, Georgia, TCU, 13.5. 2021, Alabama, Cincinnati, 13. 2020, Alabama, Notre Dame, 19. Like, that surprised me just now. I'll just say it that way. That actually surprised me that there have been that many games in the college football playoffs, not regular season, but playoffs with double-digit and/or 2-touchdown point spreads.
Well, let's jump right into the football game now, okay? So my first thing I wanted for us to talk about is Ohio State's offense versus Notre Dame's defense, and the matchups on both sides. And I'm going to say what I've said all year long since about midseason on. After what happened when Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, we all kind of jumped ship, especially me, and said, well, this thing's over. But, man, they've proven us wrong. And defensively, guys, their back seven, and I've said that all year long, their back seven is, to me, a mini NFL football team. They're good. They're good. And I guess my question is, and Chuck and I talked about this in the production meeting, are they going to – can they keep four from dominating the football game, and are they going to play him one-on-one? Are they going to bracket with a safety over the top or a linebacker back or a linebacker going back in the thirds there? Talk to me.
Truthfully?
Yeah.
They're going to make Egbuka and Tate beat them. Texas was doing that, right? And if you want to, Texas made that happen, and Egbuka and Tate didn't score a touchdown. Smith is their home run threat. Smith is their touchdown threat. Don't get me wrong. Tate and Egbuka are damn good wide receivers. That's not what I'm getting at. They are very highly talented, number one wide receivers on every other team in the country besides Ohio State because of Jeremiah Smith. But they're going to make him beat you or make those two beat you. The last time it happened, Texas goes out there and it depends on how technical you want me to get, but I'll just call it a 4-match coverage. Easy way to say it for you. And literally made the other two beat you. They didn't get in the end zone. They didn't beat them. Now you got to stop the run, though. The run is what beat them. The run and one screen pass. So you take away 4, then you find out if Ohio State really is the best team in the country, which I believe they are. But that's how you have to. You've got to rely on your front 6 because you need an extra guy in coverage. You got to rely on your front 6, not 7, to stop the run and make 17-2 beat you, not 4.
So Chuck, tell everyone what we were talking about in our production meeting when we talked specifically about what I just asked for Notre Dame's Ohio State's offense and Notre Dame's defense.
Texas started with a bracket coverage on Smith, And then several times when they showed it from the end zone, Texas just had man later in the game, or within the second quarter on, they only had one man on Smith. So,
well, they had one. But they had a. There was a guy over.
Help.
No, he had help over the top because
right.
They were playing. What they were doing is playing a only on him, essentially what would be called 2-man inside leverage, press corner, underneath coverage to make them throw outs because they undercut, and then the safety would be over the top.
Right. But basically what they did is our main guy on him, and if he needs help, there's help cover, there's help over there. But when Smith stopped getting targeted, he wasn't getting targeted, he started pouting. And as the game went on, they had less and less concern about Jeremiah Smith. And I think what Johnson said spot on, Ibuka and Tate, they're not, they're average receivers in terms of catching the ball. What I look at when you drop a pass, like Tate did in the end zone, you're on that slant pattern. But here's the thing I see as an old man looking at this is that, if you're playing one-on-one and you've got a small window, your quarterback has less, he's got to be sharp. There's why I think Billy Howard doesn't see it and doesn't want to throw it, because he wants a big, wide open window. Yeah, it's easy to hit Jeremiah Smith when he's wide open, crossing routes. So I think that Notre Dame, because just what you said, David, because their back seven is pretty good, I think, that they can lock it down and they can have I think their 4 guys can put pressure on Howard. It's the quarterback to me, not how these guys get open, because Howard wants to throw to a wide open receiver, doesn't want to throw the ball into a small window. He doesn't have that kind of confidence, and he doesn't have that kind of ability. And I revert you back to the Michigan game. Beyond those receivers, as best you can, Howard will hesitate to throw that ball once he sees an opposite color jersey. So I think Notre Dame can win that battle. What you just asked was that the Notre Dame defense can slow down. I don't think you can stop it, but can slow down the Ohio State passing game.
So how important are the 2 running backs from Ohio State? Because I'll tell you, Texas did a really good job of shutting down is it the Smith kid that they shut him down pretty good? But the 2 running backs from Ohio State, how important are those guys tonight?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think that the lead running back, not the one from Ole Miss,
Travion Henderson.
Travion Henderson, I think he's the guy who can see holes and he can run the football. I think that they got to utilize the running game. But Junkins can't see things. I don't know what it is. He's always got to bounce outside. But there were 2 plays that they showed this time from up top where Junkins, all he had to do once he got outside the tackle was turn up and make 5-6 yards. He bounced it out to where there were bodies out there, opponents. He just doesn't see what is what's happening. Very talented. Both of them are very talented. But I think Travion Henderson is the better one, and they got to utilize him more.
Well, I'm gonna go on the slightly opposite side of that and say that they both have 960 plus yards rushing and double-digit touchdowns and 5.2 yards a carry and 7.3 yards a carry. Pretty damn good, if you ask me.
Yeah,
both of them. So
that's
what I'm saying. So that's where I say the front 6 of Notre Dame has got their hands full, because when you have a Jeremiah Smith, whether he catches 1 ball or 100 balls, he takes that attention. So in the pass game, you got to make Ibuka and Tate beat you, but you better stop the run, because they can run the football. They 100%.
If you were on the Notre Dame side, Jonathan, would you plan as a defensive coordinator? Would you plan to stop the running game?
I'd have two. You got to have 2 game plans ready.
Huh?
to me, you got to have 2 game plans ready. I've got a Jeremiah Smith pass game plan with my front 6, and if I'm getting gashed in the run game and they're holding the ball and they're 7 yards a carry instead of 2, then I got to go to my other one and say, you know what, I got to take my chances that the 33% that he might take a big play is going to happen, but I'm going to be ready on offense. So to me, you got to have 2 game plans: a Jeremiah Smith pass game plan, which you have to have a 5th guy in coverage minimum. We leave 6 in the box, and or then I got to have my normal defense, a 4-2-5, which is a nickel defense, but my nickel Sam needs to be able to stop the outside zone, counter that bounces, jet sweep, those things that can kind of push them back inside to my big guys, because the reality is Ohio State's they've got 5 guys at any given moment that can beat you at skill position. And let's call it like it is, guys. There's not many teams in the country that you can legitimately say, I've got 5 guys that can change the game. It's just not.
I think, a third plan, and it's called the Buddy Ryan plan, and that is putting godly pressure on the quarterback, Billy Howard, as Buddy Ryan used to say, can't throw the ball if he's on his back.
Yeah, but you better tackle. You miss one tackle and they're gone.
Right.
And this is the team. Hey, listen, I'm a high risk, high reward coach. That's how I will live and die by that. But this team is hard to do that with, because if they throw a slant, that's a touchdown. I mean, it's just what it is. And all right, so because here's why. If you go, when you're in practice, one-on-one period for receivers and DBs and running backs and linebackers is literally set up for the offensive player to be successful 80% of the time. Because it's one-on-one. I know the route, you don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm running the route. I know the route, you don't. I just if I catch it at 5 and fall down, that is a hell of a play. Right? When you're playing Ohio State, if you bring the pressure and you miss one tackle, there's nobody left.
Right.
80% of the time, I'll lowball it. Even 60% of the time, you give up a big play. 60% of your plays on pressure, it ain't going well, and that's the scare about trying to pressure Ohio State. Is not that Howard. Trust me, it ain't that Howard's a world beater. It's now you've got a linebacker who is let's call it like it is not as good in space as Travion Henderson, matched up one-on-one. You've got a corner who is instantly outsized, measurables, height and weight by Jeremiah Smith, one-on-one. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the negative. Then you've got Judkins, if he's in. You go 2-back set. Now you got 2 linebackers. I go empty. I've got no linebacker in the box. Now I can go QB draw. That's the advantage Ohio State has. They've got 5 guys that at any given moment can change the game. No other team in the country's got 5. Some teams got 3. It's just that's a very high risk, very high reward, though, but a very high risk to pressure Ohio State where everybody's one-on-one. Because if you lose that matchup, it is 7 points.
All right. So that takes us to Notre Dame's offense. And that says Notre Dame's. It's supposed to say Ohio State defense. Sorry about that. Notre Dame offense against OSU's defense. Riley Leonard. Is he? He's kind of proven me wrong as the playoffs have gone on. He's not done anything really spectacular, but he is a football. To me, he's a football player playing quarterback. Tough, makes good play. Run when he needs to. He seems to be a great leader. These guys are going to die for him. Is he capable of?
Oakley says hello.
Hey, Oakley, is he capable of throwing the ball well enough to beat Ohio State? And then after that, you guys talk to me about their running game.
Well, Oakley thinks that he is a good athlete, but not a good quarterback. That's what Oakley just said.
That's a beautiful dog.
That's my girl right here. Ain't that right, baby? She's guarding the door right now. Like, it's kind of fine. That's what I'm trying to keep. I'm trying to keep her over here to keep her quiet. Otherwise, she'll what we call murder bark because she hears a squirrel and she thinks it's an intruder. Sorry, that caught me off guard. I was trying to look something up real quick. Go ahead, Chuck, if you want to go ahead.
Okay. I think, your dad mentioned about Riley Leonard. He's a great leader. He's a great field general. I think he's more of a manager than a high risk, high reward quarterback. He's going to take the run when he can. He's a very tough runner. But again, this is the big natty, and you don't want to sit there and put your quarterback out there. I think they're going, something inside me says that they believe they can run the football against Ohio State and control the clock and cut the number of possessions down. And they're going to play two things, and they're going to take that game plan Michigan did. We're going to run the football, dominate time of possession, and play field possession.
Okay.
Win the field possession. And I think they can cut 2, maybe 4 possessions if they're successful. They can cut 2 to 4 possessions from Ohio State. I'm going to look at Ohio State's defense, and they got a couple of their big studs banged up against Texas. Just remember that in that short.
I'm going to read this list real quick, and I want it's going to be slightly lengthy, but it'll make sense in a second. I want you to either jot it down or mentally tab how many in this list had a non-quarterback playing quarterback, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. Oklahoma. I'm going from 2000 all the way to last year. Oklahoma, Miami, Ohio State, LSU/Southern Cal, Southern Cal, Texas, 06 Florida with Chris Leak, LSU in 07, 08 Florida, check. There's the first one. 09 Alabama, 10 Auburn. I wouldn't put that in there. Alabama, Florida State, Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan. So one team in the past 24 years has had a non-quarterback playing quarterback, but he had 10 other NFL caliber players around him. Notre Dame don't have that on offense. You don't win a national championship without a quarterback. You see what I'm going with?
Yeah.
You don't win a national championship. History's proven it. You do not win a national championship without a quarterback playing quarterback. A tailback playing quarterback has won it one time, and that's because they had 2 Olympic track runners, 4 first-round receivers, a first-round tight end, and 3 first-round linemen. Didn't matter if somebody's left pinky toe at the middle school was playing quarterback on that team. All you had to do was hand the ball to Percy Harvin. You see what I'm going with?
Right.
So 1 out of 24, not great odds for Riley Leonard, Notre Dame.
But I thought you were picking Notre Dame.
I know. I am picking Notre Dame just because I hate Ohio State. That's the only one. It has nothing to do with Riley Leonard's ability. Riley Leonard is a great athlete. He is. But Riley Leonard, if the game is on the line, he ain't the guy to go 2-minute drill win it. You know who is? Their backup. He showed that in the semifinals.
Yes, he did.
He can get the ball out of his hands and throw it here and get the ball out and go the hot routes, blah, blah, blah. Leonard is a runner that can throw, not a quarterback that just so happened can run. You see what I'm like? Those are 2 opposite style players. Josh Allen in the NFL is a quarterback, just so happens to be athletic as hell. Right? Riley Leonard is not that. Cam Newton was a quarterback that just so happened to be 6'6", 250 that could run. But he was a quarterback. He was just a big one. You see what I'm saying? Like, he could decipher a defense. He could read a defense. He could go through the whole progression with you. Riley Leonard is a running back that can throw.
If Notre Dame's going to have a shot, Jonathan, do they have to utilize your 2 big backs and Riley Leonard's legs?
No doubt. They have to control the ball, because if Ohio State don't have the ball, Jeremiah Smith can't score.
That's exactly right.
Travion Henderson can't score. Tate and Egbuka can't score. Those guys cannot score if Notre Dame is on the field. And if you want to know the truth, I would not be surprised. I could be wrong. And time will tell tonight. I could be wrong. If Notre Dame gets the ball first, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a quarterback run first play. Just to see how they're going to respond to his legs. In the playoffs, he's been their leading rusher because Love's been hurt a little bit. But he's got to take pressure off of Love with his knee injury by running the football. If you want to, I'll die on that hill. I think he's a great athlete. But if you ask him to beat you in a 2-minute drill, it ain't happening.
I think that's exactly, I agree with you 100%. And that's why I think there's a lot to be played or planned for the Michigan game, because Davis Warren was not a quarterback, nor could he run. But they utilized the running game and they played a field position battle. We're going to win the field, win it. We're not going to take chances. We're going to put them deep in their territory and play good, sound defense. I think Notre Dame can play good, sound defense.
Yes.
I think that Notre Dame cannot be wide open and aggressive. I don't think that's their MO and can do it. But if they're successful in running the football, utilizing Riley and the running backs and little chip tight end passes and, hit the tight end 10 times or whatever, they can throw the ball. Riley Leonard is a much better quarterback than Davis Warren. And Davis Warren, they played, we're going to win the field position battle. We're going to run the football. And we're going to hope that Ohio State makes mistakes.
Yes, but they also had outside inclement weather issues, and they're in a dome tonight.
That's true. That's true.
They're in a dome, which does play into effect a little bit.
Right.
Because I can tell you this, that definitely plays into the factor of Jeremiah Smith and Ohio State's skill players. There's zero weather to be contending with tonight.
Weren't they in a dome last Texas and Ohio State? Weren't they there was a Cotton Bowl, right? That's a dome.
Yeah, and it was. And Texas, hey, look, once again, they got 5 guys. You're going to sit here and tell me that, and I know, Dad, you love screenplays, but you're going to tell me that a simple, old school, the high school Harry 2-count screen goes for 75 yards? Once again, that's the that's the Jeremiah Smith effect. Go back and watch that play. Go back and watch it. Jeremiah Smith's on the other side of the field. There's 2 guys over the top with the third guy leaning his side, and they throw a screen the other way for house call. He doesn't have to catch the ball to be in effect tonight. He could not record a single statistic at all tonight and completely affect the game because of double and triple coverage.
Well, I see.
That's his effect.
I see, and I could be totally off base on this. I'm going to be this suburb guy thinking Notre Dame is going to win this football game, or I'm going to be the dummy that picked them because they're going to get blown out.
Oh, I'm still picking Notre Dame. Just once again, my picking Notre Dame is because of run game, and I hate Ohio State.
Right. Well, you knew like I said, it's picking between Hitler and Stalin. Okay, I'm sorry.
Not good picks.
Exactly. So I think that Notre Dame is going to have similar, but here's something: the one variable, and I was talking to your dad in production, is that they left a pterodactyl egg on the field against Michigan, and the fan base went nuts. Mm-hmm. They had a team meeting. And whenever you have team meetings only, players only, or really it wasn't players, coaches were in there. But whenever you call these team meetings, it's not good. I never have 2 things I never like: team meetings, and number 2, some guy with his players around him yelling and screaming right before the game. I don't need you to hype me up. But when you have that, there's something amiss or wrong in the Ohio State family. So they come out their first game and they are ticked against Tennessee. Then they came and had an Oregon team that lost all its momentum and was flat, took advantage of it. There was no reason to be 1 pass completion away deep inside at the 2, and then 3 play calls that you're like question, or we could be playing at overtime at 21. But a play that a scoop and score. The fact remains is that they were a much better football team than Texas, but they made enormous amounts of mistakes. And I just see this thing. So now what do you do?
Here's my question. Have you ever heard this saying? An ugly win's better than a pretty loss?
Yes. We made that up. We made that.
Especially in a playoff situation when the winner go home. So, I mean, I'm with you, but an ugly win is a win. You can play flawless and lose and go, man, we look good though. We're sitting on the couch watching you play.
My point is, hold on. My point is, so what can we expect out of Ohio State? Because we've already seen in that game, Jeremiah Smith, their big guy, pouting for 3/4 of the game.
When?
I understand. So that's why they're playing in the national championship. So what do you expect Ohio State?
But to counteract that, here's the thing. Any good receiver I've ever played with gets pissed off if they don't get the ball. If he's not pissed off, he ain't a competitor. He's not pissed off at the coaches. He's not pissed off at his quarterback. He's not pissed off. He's just pissed off because he wants the ball because he's a game changer. But he also understands this is my game to be a game changer by taking dudes that way so my guys can go that way. Hence the 75-yard phenomenal play call on the screen. I love screens. Trust me. I love screens. But that screen play should not go 75 yards. That's one when you're sitting there and you go, oh my God, we housed it. That's icing on the cake. We're thinking just move the chain, get out of half, blah, blah, blah. And you're going, holy cow. You take your hat off and you go, man, that really did that. But that's where, once again, any good receiver I've ever played with has never been happy with not getting the ball just because they're a competitor. You know how many times they come back to the huddle?
Right.
They're always open.
Let me ask you.
Open. If they're not open, in their mind, they're not a good receiver. So I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but that's the way that I look at it from being in the huddle with guys like him. That Ohio State, former Ohio State player, and his dad was Ohio State great. Deron Carter, Chris Carter's son. I'm playing with him in Montreal. You know how many times I had to look at him and tell him to shut the bleep up in the huddle because he's always open? But then he go, nah, man, you're right. I just want the ball.
Right. Well,
that's just my counteract to it. I'm with you. Was he pouting? 100%. But I don't see it as I'm pouting because I hate the game plan. I see it as I'm pouting because I know I'm a game changer, but I also affected the game in a positive way. I'm just pissed I don't have the ball.
Right. I think Notre Dame cannot afford to put bracket coverage on Jeremiah Smith. I think that they have got to be able to take away the run game.
See, I go the opposite. I don't think they have anybody that can match him up one-on-one. I love their secondary, but they don't have somebody that can go one-on-one. You go beat him. They can't afford – some games you can. A Michigan State, I'll say it that way. Just this will make you happy. Michigan State. A Michigan State game, you can afford going, hey, if he gets two deep balls and it's touchdowns, we can kind of spot you 14 points, Michigan State, and we're going to beat you. You can't afford to give Ohio State 14 points when you can't throw the football like that. Notre Dame, you ready for this? Notre Dame, what percentage of their year's total offense, what percentage is run yards versus pass yards?
55, 45?
52-48. They have more rushing yards as a team than they do passing yards. That never happens, guys.
Right.
That is that's not good. I'm not talking about plays called, but percentage of your offense. They went 5 weeks without a touchdown pass early in the year.
Yeah,
ESPN made a big deal when he finally threw a touchdown pass.
Yeah, but I'm going to go back and say this: they're 14-1.
Oh no, I'm with you. I'm on the same page as you. I'm pick them to win. I'm just going with the fact of that's why I think they have to bracket him tonight. Because if you give up 14 just to Jeremiah Smith, then you lose that ball game tonight.
Well, if Jeremiah Smith goes off, I 100% agree. But I'm saying if I'm Notre Dame, knowing what little I know about Notre Dame, is that you cannot take a man out and put two guys or bracket coverage on Smith and take him out of some other because they have too many weapons. You're going to have to rely on mistakes. And what you got to do is, well, I'm going to put my best cover man, who may be inferior to Jeremiah Smith, but I'm going to put you on him, and you're going to be on him all day. I can't afford to put somebody else in cover 2-on-1.
Here's why they won't.
Hold on. Because I want to put the ball in the hands of Billy Howard. Let Billy Howard make
it. They won't, because then they're going to run the ball.
Right.
But here's the thing. Their running game's better than Notre Dame's front four. But here's the thing. Here's why they'll bracket him. Did you see it? Did you see the interview between the two coaches?
No.
All right. And I like watching Marcus. I like it. I do. I think he's gotten the Notre Dame people, like everybody, to buy into what he's doing. And they said, if you can turn to your left or right and ask an honest question to the opposing coach, what would you ask? And he goes, how many creative ways you going to get number 4 with football? He's going to bracket coverage him tonight. He has to, because here's why. When you're when you're game planning, you have to play blackjack. You've got to play percentages and ratios. Here's why. Who is my best corner? How does my best corner match up with Smith versus my best linebacker match up with Travion Henderson? Who has the better odds of being successful? If I can go one-on-one with a tailback and have better odds than one-on-one with Smith, then that's what I do.
Awesome.
In my opinion, they have a better chance of going linebacker number 24, the 6th-year linebacker, cannot remember his name, matching up with Travion Henderson than their best DB matching up with Smith. Like, you got to look at where can you get hurt the least, because you're gonna give up some sort of plays. That's football. But where do I give up the least amount of big play potential? And that's with a tailback matched up with a linebacker one-on-one rather than the best receiver in college football versus the not best cornerback in college football.
Right. I 100% agree with you, Jonathan. Me looking at it is I just don't see Notre Dame having the ability to go and play bracket coverage because they have a much better running game. Ohio State has a great running game, 2 running backs that can run the football. They got a tight end. They got 2 other receivers in Tate and Ibuka. So, I mean, you have those kind of weapons. You're just going to have to say, I got to take my best on him. That's just me.
Yeah, see, I go the opposite. I say I take my best linebacker on my tailback and say, you're not beating us, you better beat me.
Right. And I'm
proven he will beat you. Ask Tennessee.
I don't have Billy Howard. I don't have Tom Brady back there. I got Billy Howard back there for Ohio State.
Watch this. Ask Tennessee and ask Oregon. It don't matter who's back there with that. With this Ohio State team is much like Florida 08. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. Just don't mess up and get the ball to your playmaker.
Right.
Ask Tennessee and ask Oregon. Jeremiah Smith will beat you. Will beat you very early. If he get, once again, that's the reason why you have to bracket him right now. Because if you don't, how many in the first 4 drives of both of those games, Tennessee and Oregon, in the first 4 drives, he had 4 touchdowns. That you give that up early, that game's done because now they play ball control. Now when you try to switch up, you go, well, shoot, I'm down. I'm already down 14 or 21. I got to make plays that I can't go make on offense. Travion Henderson has a less likely of breaking a 75-yard run than Jeremiah Smith does have a 75-yard pass. Doesn't matter who's the quarterback.
Which leads me to the one thing that I think that Notre Dame has a slight advantage, and creativity, a major advantage, is special teams. I think that
I agree with that.
I think that they're on the kicking game as far as their kick defense. They're aggressive to the point of being over aggressive. Trying to block.
Now that their kicker is actually healthy from his groin injury.
No, I'm talking about when they're returning kicks or in returning punts. I think they do a really good job of that. I think that the kid that transferred in, the Harrison kid, is a difference maker as a kick returner.
Yeah.
For Notre Dame, and they are not afraid to run trick plays, and they are not afraid to run fake punts. And I think that could be something that keeps them in the football game.
Do you agree with that, Oakley? Say yes. You want to speak? Tell me. You want to tell me? Now you're shy? Now you're being shy? Okay. It's okay. No, thank you. Okay.
So anyway, I that's the one place I think, athletically, maybe not as talented as Ohio State, but man, they're aggressive.
Well, you're right. Their
creative.
returner. What's that guy's name? Hold on.
Harrison.
Yeah, but where did he? In the football roster. I'm trying to remember where he came from. He was an All-American at the other. Was it Marshall? Hold on.
He was good. He returned one the other day.
Harrison. Yeah, it was Marshall. I randomly got that right. He's from Antioch, Tennessee. Didn't know that. But he was an All-American at Marshall as a receiver return man, and he doesn't play much offense right now. But you're right. He is a game changer in the return game. They finally got their kicker growing healthy.
He's not afraid of the big. He is not afraid of the big moments to kick. And he looks down the barrel of the gun and just does it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a slight advantage there, guys.
I agree. Like I said, I'm picking Notre Dame. I mean, I don't know if it's stupidity or because this is one of the biggest spreads in a national championship game in recent histories. I've looked it up. I don't know if it's stupidity or just pure hope that Ohio State doesn't win, but did y'all see what Lou Holtz said? God, I loved it. Old Lou, he's still out here pissing people off just to do it. Did y'all see what he said?
No, I didn't read it.
He said, I was going to be at the game in spirit, but now I'm going to drag my body along because if Ohio State wins, it's just because we want to preserve Ryan Day's job.
Oh, my God.
Lou Holtz, like, why? Why? That's phenomenal. So, like, I don't know if that's why I'm rooting for Notre Dame tonight. I have no idea. But I thought that was hilarious because Lou Holtz just being the old ornery human being that he is. I mean, anybody that fires his son and his son found out on the radio, just saying, all right? But no, in all seriousness, I do think I'm hoping it's a good game. I don't want it to be a blowout like when Georgia beat TCU in a playoff game like that. That's not fun. You know what I'm saying? Like I want it to be selfishly last college football game of the year. I want it to be a last-second field goal or an overtime game, something to where it keeps everybody's interest. In college football needs that. Viewership's been down, 30, 40, 50% this year in playoffs. We've been talking about that. They need it. They desperately need the viewership, so they need a great game. I am excited for it. We'll see. I mean, we can sit here and talk all day long about the schematics. I have none of it. We don't know. We'll find out tonight at 7:30. But there's a lot of really good players on the field on both sides or both teams tonight. If you look at rosters, like on paper, Ohio State by 100. But that's been that way every week this year, and they've lost 2 games. So you never know. Especially after the Northern Illinois loss, So kudos to Notre Dame and Marcus Howard to getting them there at 14-1.
Marcus Freeman.
Oh yeah, sorry. What did I say?
Howard.
Oh yeah, my bad. He's done a great job.
Chuck, who's going to win?
Notre Dame.
And I've said all along, man, there's just something about what he has done. Mm-hmm. And look, the players make the plays and they go out there and they do all this stuff. And look, the guy might not be the prototypical quarterback, but I love the way he plays.
He's not, but he fits their scheme well. Let's just call it like it is.
Everything that Jonathan has said about Ohio State is true. The fact is, and not the fact, but the guess of mine, aren't we due for a major upset in a national championship game? For how many years has it been where we weren't surprised?
Well, watch this. You know what this game reminds me of, honestly?
Yeah.
06 Florida, Ohio State. That you look at those two rosters and you go, dude, Ohio State by 200 points. Ted Ginn, Troy Smith, You go, this ain't even close.
What
And
about
the next thing you know, open a kickoff, it gets hurt. Florida wins the game. If you're you can't win it if you ain't in it.
what about State Miami, where it went into overtime?
When? I didn't hear you.
Ohio State and Miami, where it went into overtime.
The Willis McGahee knee injury day.
So
it can definitely happen. I don't know. I think Notre Dame's, once again, they got a chance because they're in the game. Like, they're playing in the game. So you got a chance. So it doesn't matter.
I spent 4 years ripping apart my Ohio State friends or acquaintances. I don't know if they call them friends yet. And I've had fun at their expense.
You want one more time?
Yeah, I just want one more game because I own them until late November when Michigan and Ohio State match up. But if it goes Ohio State's way, I know what's coming back at me 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
Worse than normal.
So here's a question that I think the media will be talking about. I'm going to preference it with it. I do not agree with this conversation. I want to go ahead and preference that. I do not agree with this. If they lose, are Ohio State fans trying to get Ron Day out of town? Because look, they would have lost to Michigan 4 straight years, didn't make it to the Big Ten championship game, and didn't win a national championship. And those are their 3 things on their list that they have to have, they say. Once again, I'm not saying I agree with you. They should not. It shouldn't be a conversation.
Well, you'll have some of the morons. You'll have the loudmouths and the morons and the 400-pound dummy in his basement doing all that stuff.
I'm talking about actual conversation, though. They've already had it after the Michigan loss.
Johnson is right.
I don't agree with it, but they've already had that conversation. When your athletic director has to come out and say, Ron Day will be back, that means they have the conversation.
Johnson has prefaced it by saying he doesn't agree with that, doing that. They lost the national championship game. But if they lose the national championship, shooting from the hip and guessing, 60% of the fan base will be loud and obnoxious because that is what they are, and they'll want them fired.
Because watch this. And Dad, you're right. It's the people that don't know a damn thing about football. Well, what did Tennessee – well, no. But watch this. What did Tennessee fans do after the University of Tennessee hired Greg Schiano and he signed a contract? They were loud and obnoxious, petitioned, and got it voided. You see what I'm getting at? If the big money people feel pressure, they will allow it, because that's how you can't fill a stadium if people refuse to come.
I told John
you can't pay these contracts if people refuse to come. I don't agree with it. I don't. I think he's a good coach. I don't think it should ever happen. Like, I think if you want to know the truth, I think he has earned his way with the amount of wins and losses he has to say, I'm here until I don't want to be here.
Right.
Regardless of the Michigan game, regardless of the Big Ten championship game, because the sport has changed so much over the past 6 years, 5 years, with the amount of portal kids that get to go. The competitiveness is a lot more at the top tier. It is starting to level out. The top 10, top 10 highest revenue schools, and Ohio State's one of those, that it's hard to win those games. It is. So that's the way I look at it. But I do think there'll be that conversation if they lose. I don't agree with it. I don't think they should.
A coach does not control the fan base. You can't. And you got to know the Ohio State fan base. They make Tennessee fans look like patron saints,
which is true and it's hard to do.
The Buckeyes fan base are crazy. Number 2 is what adds the pressure to Ohio State if they lose. If they lose, is that the year before Michigan won the Natty,
and then they got beat by a 6-5 Michigan team this year.
Yeah, and so there's a powder keg that Ohio State is sitting on, and it will be diffused if they win the Natty.
Oh, no doubt.
If they lose the Natty, it will be ignited.
It's okay. No, see, watch this. It's the same thing, different teams. So I was talking to – oh, gosh, it's okay. I was talking to Coach Seibert, one of our coaches on the football staff, big Penn State guy. So I asked him the same question. I said, Penn State doesn't make it to the national championship next year. Is he fired? Consensus is probably so. Here's why. You got your quarterback back. Your two best tailbacks decided to come back. You got 2 5-star transfer portal receivers coming in. You don't go a step further and go to the national championship game. James Franklin he's probably not at Penn State next year. I don't agree with that. But that's the harsh reality of today's sports. They don't care.
Right.
Once again, I'm going to preface. I don't agree with that. I think it's bad for the sport. I think it's bad for universities, blah, 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 blah. But that's the way it is. If you've got this roster, you better win. Hey, I'll say the same thing about Knoxville. He better get some players, some uber talented Jeremiah Smith players in there, or the fan base is going to eventually start saying that about him. That's college football.
So I'm gonna say while we're on this subject, and I'm gonna put this up here, and we'll talk about that in a second. And we got to lead off when we start that. We'll talk about the ACC and what they're talking about. But anyway, you know who I think's feeling more pressure than anybody right now?
Who?
And he's not even in this game.
Hold on. Let me think. Hold on. Dabo.
Nope. Gosh,
Hold
no.
on. One more guess.
DeBoer.
Nope.
Okay.
No, DeBoer's good.
Which coast? East or west? They're having fun.
Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Well, you could have said East or West Coast.
The pressure on him now
Oh, no doubt. 100%
is unbelievable because his quote when he left Notre Dame 3 years ago was what?
You can't win a national championship at Notre Dame versus the SEC.
David, that's an excellent point.
Oh, no. Did you hear what? No, what's this? Did you hear what he came out and said? Hey, I don't know the guy. I wouldn't want to play for him. It's just my opinion. Did you hear what he said, though, about who he's rooting for? I'm rooting for Notre Dame, because I recruited most of those guys. Shut up, bro. Stop it. Do not try to take credit for what he is. Don't even freaking try it. Don't try to take credit for that roster.
Has anybody called Lloyd and found out, if Lloyd's okay, a welfare check on Lloyd?
No. Hey, it's that thing I sent to you today. You're going to tell me that Notre Dame, let's call it like it is, Notre Dame's roster last year, we'll go last year's, we'll take this year's Notre Dame roster, was not nearly as good as last year's LSU roster. Not a chance. You had the Heisman Trophy winner, who is now going to win NFL Rookie of the Year. He's in the NFC Championship game as a rookie with a team that's not been there in 30 years. 30. You've got the top, or what, 2 first-round receivers that are both the 2 best receivers in the NFL in the rookie class, and you went to the ReliaQuest Bowl?
Mm-hmm. David.
Buddy, what you doing down there in old Baton Rouge? Come on now.
That's spot on, David. You ought to give yourself a check.
I just know that the pressure on him is –
that is spot on.
Because, again, I
agree with you. I think, hey, you're right. There's another one. If he doesn't make it to the semifinals next year, he might be fired, truthfully. Because have you seen the additions he's made this offseason?
No.
He is legit kicking dudes out to bring in these high profile. He's got like 10 or 11 high profile portal commits right now. Like legit come in, play day one. He don't make it to the semifinals. LSU's looking for a new coach next year because of what Notre Dame's doing. I agree with you 100%.
A whole lot of pressure. So
what's this? I'm going to be this guy. Who's the next LSU coach?
Lane Kiffin.
Are we going to say Lane?
Yes. You know why?
He's a nomad. He changes teams every 5 years.
Well, that's kind of proven. But you know why? He has taken Ole Miss, in my opinion, to the max of what Ole Miss football can be. That's just what it is, in my opinion. They won 10 games this year. That's the first time ever they've won back-to-back 10-win seasons ever. Right?
And Lane,
now, did he lose to a Kentucky team he shouldn't have lost to and been in the playoffs? Yeah. But once again, talking about tonight, you can't win the game if you're not in the game. Right? So they did lose that. But I do think he has a history of showing I can turn around a program really quick in the portal era. Kids want to go play for him. And Baton Rouge is a lot more appealing of a national brand than Oxford, Mississippi. We'll say it that way. a lot more rich tradition. I think he would. Now, he may not leave, but I do think that would be somebody they would call. I truthfully do, because he's a proven head coach in the SEC winner. He can recruit like no other, and he can get kids to buy in. Now, if you're his guy, you're his guy. If you're not, buddy, he's a douche. I mean, it's just what it is. That's how most coaches are. I mean, I'm being honest. That's how most coaches at that level. Players either love him or hate him. But guess what? They love Brian Kelly or they hate Brian Kelly. It's how it works. But he has more players that love him than not. I'm not saying he would be the guy, but I'm saying he'd be on the short list. He would.
Okay. Now, the ACC is talking about making major changes to their conference championship game, up to and including whoever wins the regular season not playing in the game.
I'm here for that. Because what you know why? What have I said?
Money.
For 7 years, do conference championship games matter? No.
You said they do.
No, they don't. They matter only because of money. They don't mean a darn thing when it comes to the playoffs because they've proven year in and year out. Ohio State has won a national championship, and Alabama has won a national championship, not even playing in the game, not even being there. So being third best in their conference, okay? Not even being there.
Somebody's got
to the playoff. Hold on. Teams have made it to the playoff with losing their conference championship game. So the games don't mean a darn thing anymore except for TV marketing and money because the NCAA is greedy because they take a percentage of the gates and the tickets sold. That's the only reason why. So ACC, I'm here for it. Have your second and third best team play just so they can raise the banner and have your number one team still go to the playoff. I'm all about it.
I think some conference, any conference, should make that decision just to cancel it, end the season on the last day of November, and then have your teams, okay, we're going to play 12 games and this is what we're going to do. Somebody's got to make that move so others will follow because these conference championships are.
I have a fix.
Yeah, turn this thing right there.
I have a fix for it. Truthfully.
Hey, guys, gotta go.
What?
Gotta go.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see you later.
All right, bud.
Well, no, so, Dad, I'll say I have a fix for it, and I'll send it to you and Chuck. It's 16 teams, but here's why. You take the Power Four, all four Power Fours, okay? And you take the top three teams from the Power Fours. So SEC 1, 2, and 3, ACC 1, 2, and 3, they're in. Then you take Group of 5 champion, highest ranked Group of 5 like they are now.
Keep talking.
No, go ahead. I'll wait till you get back.
Keep talking.
So you got the group of or Power Fours top 3, Group of 5.
Well, my guys are stuck up on top of the mountain.
Hold on.
The car lights are.
Come on. All right, so what I was saying is you take your Power 4 top 3 teams of each. There's 12 out of the 16. Then you take 2 at large. So it could be from any conference. Now you're at 14. The top independent, which would be Notre Dame, because they'll always be the top, and your highest ranked Group of 5 champion. Now the at large are the highest ranked teams that are not automatically in the playoff, if that makes sense. So it could be team ranked number 20th. We don't know. But it could be a Group of 5, an independent, or one of the Power Fours. It does not matter. So there's your 16. And how you do it is you do it like a lot of states do in high school, and you what's called a pod. You go the SEC, and you change each year, though. The year 1, the SEC and the Big Ten play. So SEC 1 in round 1 plays Big Ten 3. Big Ten 1 plays SEC 3. 2s play 2. ACC Big 12. And you do that. And so now you got 16 teams, and now you don't have to play conference championship games, and you get your top 3 teams from every conference in. To me, that's the next evolution on how we do it personally. And then you get – so this year, Boise would have been in still. South Carolina, Alabama would have been in. because of top 3+ at large. Obviously, Notre Dame would have been in. There's a chance that a Tulane would have squeaked in. So, like, to me, that's just a lot more fair and equitable to do it that way. I think that's the next evolution is we're going to have to do something like that because the ACC, I agree with what they're doing. They're trying to start the trend that the championship games, truthfully, don't mean anything outside of just playing a game.
Yep.
So I agree with what they're trying to do. I do think that I don't know if this was, you have to help me on this. I don't know if it was true or not. I saw a thing that said Notre Dame's AD is going to try to start a year-to-year rivalry with Clemson.
Smart.
I don't know if it's true, but if that happens, that may be the first domino to fall that Notre Dame eventually joins the conference.
I don't know. They said they don't want to, but anyway,
they shouldn't want to for money. But I think that would be good for college football too, where they have their yearly rivalry, like third Saturday in October. I think that would be a cool thing to do. 2 historic programs. So
that's it. Well, Jonathan, we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get back to work. You go take care of your stuff. I know you're probably game planning on something. And everybody be safe in the weather. It's cold out here. The snow's off the main roads. And I know a lot of our friends and family are back in the back roads.
It's not getting above 20 degrees for the next 2 to 3 days. So
yep. And so, coming to work this morning from the house was not a smart. Yeah. But anyway, go watch the football game tonight. We'll be back to review everything and get ready for baseball season, man. Go Orioles.
There you go.
All right, bud. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.